Good morning. It's 7:19, 19 minutes past 7 o'clock on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA, WTMA.com. Let's go to the phones right now and talk with one of the winners from last night's election, Leon Stavrinakis. I say winner, you're actually going to be going to a runoff, are you not?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, you've been busy since last night. Thanks for calling in. I know you guys have a very busy schedule today. But let me ask you, were there any surprises last night as you were sitting there watching these returns come in?
No, I mean, I think it was pretty much what we expected. We were the subject of an unprecedented amount of negative TV ads for Charleston mayor's race, so over $500,000 of negative ads dumped on us. So, we're thrilled to be in the runoff, to have survived that, still be standing. And we're all about this 2-week sprint now and highlighting the contrast between the two candidates on the issues most important to people going forward. And, of course, growth and traffic control are, I think, without a question, the dominant issues on people's minds. And, again, an area where there's a strong contrast between us. I have a proven record on roads, securing funds and moving projects forward, like the Arthur Ravenel Bridge, securing funds for 526, $420 million, fighting for that project for a decade, and standing up to the groups that are opposing it and trying to kill it. The contrast is John, who's a wonderful guy, and I've known him for years, but he works for one of the biggest development companies in Charleston. He was a board member of the group trying to fight and kill 526. And so we've got clear contrast here that folks need to take into consideration, and we're going to work every day for the next 2 weeks to highlight those differences.
All right. You talk about the ads, the negative ads that were run against you. You said, $5 million? Was it $5 million?
No,
$500,000. All right.
Yeah.
But don't you think that these comments that you just made were a little bit going negative?
No, not at all. I mean, the race is down to two people, and John's job is working for one of the biggest development companies in town. That's not a negative thing that I'm creating. I mean, it's just, that's what his job is. I didn't choose it. That's just what it is. So I don't view it as negative at all. There are important issues, and people need to know where each candidate stands on them. And there's no more important issue than knowing people's record on 526, on growth management, where, I have a proven record of passing laws to control and manage growth, and want to do that for the city now. People need to know about that record and the contrast between the candidates, but I don't view that as negative at all.
All right, let's go back to 5 o'clock yesterday afternoon as you're waiting for these results to come in. Did you think you were going to be going up against Tecklenburg in the runoff, or did you think you were going to be going up against Jenny?
This is what the voters decide, as to our feeling was that John and I have run very strong campaigns, and that was most likely, but we were not being presumptuous by any means. We were working for every vote we could get, through 7 o'clock when polls closed. And, those are the decisions voters make, and they ultimately decided, that John and I would move through, and one of us would be the next mayor.
How are you going to work over the next, 13 days to distance yourself from Tecklenburg? I mean, I know the 526 issue, but how are you physically going to get out there and start getting people to come your way?
Talking to people on the ground, talking to people in groups, meeting with folks. Obviously there'll be TV, there'll be mail. So all the different things that we have been doing again in this 2-week cycle. Obviously it's going to be a very intense and compressed cycle.
Right.
But that kind of voter contact and communication is what you do as a candidate, and that's what we'll be doing again to highlight the differences between us on the major issues that are on people's minds in this race.
Well, let's ask you about, they always talk about with the presidential candidates, their first 100 days. What would the first 100 days of a Stavrinakis administration be like here in Charleston?
Well, obviously, we'd want to make sure that the administration down there is stable. Losing, the leader for 40 years,
right.
We would need to make sure the organization's stable so that it can provide excellent services to the people of Charleston. We would very much want to get a plan in place, working with city council and regional leaders on addressing traffic and transportation, addressing growth management. And this is something that I've got experience with and we need to do a better job of on the city level, and that is making sure that we have coordination on growth management and coordination on infrastructure investment so that we're all working towards the same road solutions. We're all working towards the same goal of growing in a controlled, manageable way.
Mm-hmm.
And those would be major priorities in the first 100 days. And certainly there would be a lot more, whatever your citizens bring to you as the things that are important to you focus on. But we would definitely want to get a plan in place, a regional plan and a city plan for dealing with traffic and congestion and for dealing with growth management.
Can you explain your comment that concentrating on infrastructure will slow development?
No, I think you have to do both.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So you have to manage growth and development through your zoning plan and through coordination with other local governments, and you have to provide infrastructure because traffic's out of control.
Right.
So we need to do more with roads. We need to do more with syncing our traffic lights. We need to make sure we finish 526. We've got people trying to kill that project, to block it, delay it. We need a mayor who has stood up to them and will stand up to them and make sure that this project moves forward and is completed in as quick a way as possible. There are a lot of different components to dealing with traffic and managing growth, and I have experience doing that. And I'll tell you this. There are some indicators about whether a person is really serious about this.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't think you can be serious about dealing with traffic when you advocate closing a lane on the Ashley River Bridge for bicycles. We want to provide bike and pedestrian access, but we cannot give up a lane that vehicles are using on an already overcrowded infrastructure and road system, including 17 and 61, which feed into that bridge. And so I just think these are the kinds of policy differences that are really important to highlight, with people. There's no way as mayor I'm going to let a lane on that bridge be closed, and John has said he's in favor of it, and I just don't see how you can be serious about growth management and traffic taking positions like that.
All right. We appreciate you being on the program this morning, and best of luck to you in the runoff.
All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you. We'll talk to you soon.